Mia's been doing everything right. I mean, everything. She's got her emergency fund, 6 months of expenses, just like all the experts say. She maxes out her 401k match. She's never missed a credit card payment in her life. Her credit score? 780. She budgets down to the dollar, tracks every expense in her app, and she's even got separate savings accounts for different goals: vacation fund, car replacement fund, Christmas fund. And yet somehow, at 34 years old, she's sitting in a rental apartment, driving a 9-year-old Honda Civic, watching her college friends buy houses and take their kids to Disney World, and she's thinking, what am I doing wrong? Here's the thing that'll blow your mind. Mia isn't doing anything wrong. She's actually doing too much right, and it's quietly destroying her financial future. My name is Ron, and I've been completely fixated on why responsible people stay broke in 2026. If you're someone who follows all the rules but still can't get ahead, hit subscribe and thumbs up if this resonates with you. Because today, we're going to talk about something that nobody in the personal finance space wants to admit. Being responsible with money can actually be one of the most expensive mistakes you'll ever make. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ron, are you seriously telling me that being financially responsible is bad? No, but I am telling you that there's a version of financial responsibility that's been sold to you by people who don't understand wealth building, and it's costing you hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars over your lifetime. Let me show you what I mean. According to a 2024 study by the Federal Reserve, the median American household has about $8,000 in their savings account. That sounds terrible, right? But here's where it gets interesting. Households earning over $100,000 a year, they have an average of $42,000 just sitting in savings accounts. $42,000 earning what? Maybe 4% in a high-yield savings account if they're lucky? That's $1,680 a year in interest, before taxes. Now, let's do some quick math. The S&P 500 has averaged about 10% annual returns over the past 50 years. If that same $42,000 had been invested instead of sitting in a savings account, even with the market's ups and downs, it would generate an average of $4,200 per year. The difference? $2,520 annually, every single year. But here's what most people don't realize. It's not just about 1 year. This is the hidden cost that compounds over time. Over 20 years, the difference between keeping that money safe in savings versus investing it is approximately $260,000. Let me say that again. The cost of being responsible with that emergency fund, $250,000. Look, I get it. We've been programmed since childhood to equate responsibility with safety. Your parents probably told you, save for a rainy day. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Better safe than sorry. And after 2008, after watching people lose their homes and retirement accounts, the entire financial advice industry doubled down on this message. Dave Ramsey built an empire telling people to avoid debt like the plague and keep massive cash reserves. Suze Orman screams about 8-month emergency funds. The problem is they're giving Depression-era advice for a 2026 economy. Here's the thing they don't tell you. True wealth isn't built by protecting what you have. It's built by intelligently deploying capital into assets that grow faster than inflation. And inflation? The official rate might say 3%, but your actual cost of living, rent, healthcare, food, education, that's been growing at 6 to 8% annually for the past decade. So while you're being responsible and keeping your money safe, you're actually losing 2 to 4% of your purchasing power every single year. This is where it gets really interesting. There's a study from the National Bureau of Economic Research that tracked 2 groups of people over 25 years. Group A, the responsible savers. They kept large emergency funds, avoided all debt, paid cash for cars, and only invested what was extra after building their safety net. Group B, the strategic investors. They kept minimal emergency funds, maybe 2 to 3 months, and aggressively invested everything else. Some even carried low-interest debt strategically while investing the difference. After 25 years, Group B had accumulated an average of 3.7 times more wealth than Group A. 3.7 times. Same income levels, same time period. The only difference, one group was being responsible, and the other group understood how money actually works. Now, you might be thinking, but Lon, what about emergencies? What about job loss, medical bills, the car breaking down? Valid concerns, absolutely valid. But here's what nobody tells you. Over-preparing for unlikely disasters is just as financially dangerous as not preparing at all. Let's talk real numbers. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average unemployment duration is about 20 weeks, roughly 5 months. The probability of you being unemployed in any given year is about 3 to 4%. So we're keeping 6 to 12 months of expenses liquid to protect against a 4% annual risk of needing maybe 5 months of coverage. Do you see the math problem here? It's like buying a $50,000 insurance policy every year to protect against a $25,000 loss that has a 4% chance of happening. The expected value is negative $48,000. And here's the kicker. Most emergencies aren't actually emergencies. A 2023 survey by Bankrate found that the average American dips into their emergency fund 2.1 times per year. You know what the top reasons were? Car repairs, home maintenance, medical bills that weren't covered by insurance. These aren't emergencies. These are predictable expenses that people failed to budget for. Let me tell you about Mark. Mark came to me last year, frustrated because after 15 years of working, he had only saved $180,000. Only. This guy was beating like 90% of Americans, and he felt like a failure. Here's what Mark's financial picture looked like. $45,000 in a high-yield savings account, emergency fund, $35,000 in a separate savings account, house down payment fund, $25,000 in another savings account, car replacement fund, and $75,000 in his 401k. Mark was 38 years old. He was terrified of debt, terrified of risk. He'd been responsible his entire adult life. I showed him a simple calculation. If he had kept just $15,000 as his emergency fund and invested the other $90,000 in savings over the past 10 years at average market returns, he'd be sitting on approximately $320,000 today instead of $180,000. His responsibility had cost him $140,000. And the psychological damage? Priceless. Because Mark was so focused on being prepared for disasters that never came, he missed out on a decade of compound growth. Now, at 38, he's nowhere near being able to retire early, buy the house he wants, and have the financial freedom he's been working toward. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Responsible people are terrified of debt. All debt. Any debt. But check this out. The wealthiest people in America, they're absolutely loaded with debt. I'm not talking about credit card debt or payday loans. I'm talking about strategic debt. Real estate investors use mortgages to control millions in property with minimal capital. Business owners use lines of credit to scale operations. Wealthy individuals use portfolio loans at 3–4% interest to access cash without triggering capital gains taxes. Meanwhile, the responsible middle class is paying cash for cars, paying off their mortgages early, and celebrating being debt-free while their net worth stagnates. Let me give you a concrete example. You've got $30,000 saved up for a car. You could either A, pay cash for the car, no debt. Dave Ramsey would be proud. You're responsible. Option B, put $5,000 down, finance $25,000 at 4.5% interest, and invest the remaining $25,000 at an average 10% return. Over 5 years, option A costs you the opportunity to grow that $25,000. At 10% returns, that's about $40,000 by year 5. Option B, you'll pay about $3,100 in interest over those 5 years, but your investment grows to $40,000. Net benefit, $36,900. The responsible choice just cost you $36,900. Look, I understand the psychology here. Stock market crashes are visible. They're on the news. They're dramatic. Your coworker loses 30% of their 401k in a downturn, and everyone talks about it for months. But the invisible erosion of purchasing power, the opportunity cost of capital sitting idle, the compound interest you're not earning, that's silent. It doesn't make headlines. There's no dramatic moment where you lose $50,000 because your emergency fund was too large. It just slowly, quietly drains your future wealth, year after year after year. According to a Vanguard study, from 1926 to 2022, there were 26 years where the stock market had negative returns. That's 26 out of 97 years, about 27% of the time. But here's what the Be Responsible, Don't Risk It crowd doesn't tell you. Even including all those down years, all the crashes, all the recessions, the average annual return was still around 10%. And if you just left your money alone and didn't panic sell during the bad years, you captured that 10% average every single time. The people who got hurt weren't the ones who stayed invested, they were the ones who sold low because they were scared. Let's bring this all together with a 30-year timeline. Let's compare two people, both starting at age 25 with the same $60,000 annual income. Responsible Rachel keeps $30,000 emergency fund in savings, 6 months expenses, contributes 10% to 401k, $6,000 a year, pays cash for cars every 6 years, pays off mortgage aggressively, never carries any debt. Strategic Steve keeps $10,000 emergency fund, contributes 15% to 401k, $9,000 a year, finances cars at low interest and invests the difference, takes a 30-year mortgage and invests the extra payment money, uses credit card points strategically. By age 55, Rachel has a paid-off house worth $400,000, a car worth maybe $15,000, and about $750,000 in retirement accounts. Total net worth, approximately $1,165,000. Steve has a house with $150,000 left on the mortgage, worth $500,000, a car worth $20,000, and approximately $1,850,000 in retirement and investment accounts. Total net worth, approximately $2,220,000. Steve has nearly twice the wealth of Rachel. Same starting point, same income. The only difference? Steve understood that responsibility isn't the same as wealth building. Here's what most people don't realize. The financial advice industry makes money by keeping you scared and dependent on their services. You need a big emergency fund. Keep more money in our savings accounts. Pay off all your debt. Don't use credit strategically. Don't try to time the market. Keep paying our management fees forever. But wealthy people, though, they think differently. They ask, what's the highest and best use of every dollar I control? Sometimes that's an emergency fund. Sometimes it's paying off high-interest debt. But often, very often, it's investing in appreciating assets that compound over time. They understand that cash is a tool, not a goal. That strategic debt is leverage, not a burden. That calculated risk is the price of admission to wealth. But Ron, I don't feel comfortable with that much risk. What if the market crashes right when I need the money? Fair. So here's what you do. First, keep a reasonable emergency fund. Not 6 months, not 12 months. 1 month in cash. Another 2 to 3 months in a money market fund or short-term bond fund that you can access within a week if needed. Second, build a layers strategy. Your first $10,000 is immediate access cash. The next $15,000 is in slightly less liquid investments. Beyond that, long-term investments in diversified index funds. And third, and this is crucial, invest in yourself. Build skills that make you more employable. Create side income streams. The best emergency fund isn't cash. It's the ability to quickly generate income if needed. Okay, here's what you're going to do this week. Step 1. Calculate how much you have sitting in savings accounts right now. Really add it all up. Emergency fund, vacation fund, car fund, all of it. Step 2. Ask yourself, when was the last time you actually needed to access this money for a true emergency? Not a predictable expense, not something you could have budgeted for, a real unexpected crisis. Step 3, determine your actual monthly survival expenses, not your current spending, your absolute bare minimum. If you lost your job tomorrow, how much do you need to cover rent, food, utilities, minimum debt payments? Step 4, keep 1 month of that amount in cash. Move another 2 to 3 months worth into a money market fund or ultra short-term bond fund. Step 5, everything else, every dollar beyond that 3 to 4 month buffer, open a brokerage account and invest it in a low-cost index fund like VTI or VTSX. Step 6, stop paying extra on low-interest debt. If your mortgage is under 4%, your car loan is under 5%, stop overpaying. Invest that extra payment instead. Look, here's the bottom line. Being responsible feels safe. It feels virtuous. It feels like you're doing the right thing. But feelings don't build wealth. Math builds wealth. And the math is crystal clear. Keeping too much cash, avoiding all debt, and prioritizing safety over strategic growth is one of the most expensive financial mistakes you can make. The hidden cost of being responsible isn't just the money you're not making, it's the retirement you're delaying by a decade. It's the financial freedom you're pushing further away every year. It's the generational wealth you're failing to build for your kids. Mia, from the beginning of this video, she's still being responsible, still following all the rules, still going broke slowly and quietly while believing she's doing everything right. Don't be Mia. If this video opened your eyes to how responsibility might be holding you back, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, because I'm going to keep making videos that challenge the conventional wisdom and show you what actually builds wealth in 2026. Drop a comment and let me know, how much do you have sitting in savings accounts right now? Are you ready to make a change? Remember, the goal isn't to be reckless, it's to be strategic. It's to understand that true financial responsibility means maximizing every dollar's potential, not hiding it under a mattress or in a savings account, hoping nothing bad ever happens. See you in the next one.